If you listen to tech executives, venture capitalists, and video game publishers, we are on the verge of a golden age. They promise a world where video games are built at the push of a button, where infinite worlds are rendered instantly by neural networks, and non-playable characters can hold infinite unscripted conversations. To them, generative AI is a miracle. But if you talk to the actual people who make the games you love, the concept artists, the programmers, the writers, and the animators, you won't hear excitement. You will hear an industry in the middle of a quiet, terrified panic. Behind closed doors at events like the Game Developers Conference, the mood has shifted from creative innovation to existential dread. Developers aren't just worried about losing their livelihoods to a machine. They are watching the aggressive corporate push for automation actively degrade the craft, alienate players, and break the fundamental mechanics of game design. Today, we're looking past the corporate hype to understand exactly why game developers are panicking over AI. To understand the panic, we first have to look at the brutal economic backdrop. The video game industry has just survived its most volatile and devastating cycle of mass layoffs in history. From indie studios to multi-billion-dollar AAA giants, tens of thousands of incredibly talented developers have been cut loose. When a disruptive new technology arrives during times of economic prosperity, workers often view it as a helpful tool. But when it arrives in the middle of an economic bloodbath, workers view it as the executioner's axe. Publishers are facing a massive crisis. AAA game budgets have spun completely out of control. It now takes upwards of 6 years and hundreds of millions of dollars to build a single blockbuster game. Shareholders are demanding cost cuts, and executives see generative AI as a magical green button to bypass human labor costs. When developers see tools like NVIDIA's ACE for AI-generated dialogue or Ubisoft's Neo NPC projects, they don't see innovation. They see corporate justification to cut narrative teams, bypass voice actors, and downsize art departments. The panic is rooted in a simple, terrifying realization: the people funding video games no longer want to pay the people who create them. But let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Tech evangelists argue that AI will simply free developers from tedious tasks and make the workflow faster. If the AI can generate a fully textured 3D room or a functional coding script in 5 seconds, shouldn't that be a good thing? Ask any senior developer trying to implement these tools into a real production pipeline, and they will tell you that this efficiency is a massive lie. Instead, it has birthed a demoralizing new industry role: the digital janitor. Because generative models operate on statistical probability rather than actual spatial or logical comprehension, their outputs are riddled with microscopic, deeply woven flaws. An AI-generated environment doesn't understand collision data, polygon budgets, or lightning maps. A human artist has to spend days going into the game engine, hunting down every floating asset, fixing broken geometry, and retexturing the mistakes. AI code assistants are great for isolated scripts. Video game code bases are monstrous, deeply interconnected labyrinths. When an AI generates code, it doesn't know how it will interact with physics engines or multiplayer netcode 5 layers deep. Human workers are panicking because their creative agency is being stripped away. You don't spend years mastering programming or fine arts just to spend 10 hours a day cleaning up the messy, hallucinated outputs of an algorithm. It doesn't eliminate work. It just replaces the joyful, creative part of development with tedious repair work. Then there is the ethical and legal nightmare that is keeping independent developers up at night. Generative AI tools do not create out of thin air. They are trained on massive datasets scraped from the internet. frequently containing copyrighted art, code, and voice lines used without the original creator's permission or compensation. For an indie developer, using these tools is like walking through a minefield wrapped in a lawsuit. Major platforms like Valve's Steam have strict evolving policies regarding games that utilize AI-generated assets with unclear copyright ownership. If a small team accidentally ships a game containing code or art assets that are found to infringe on another company's intellectual property because the AI scraped it, that game can be permanently pulled from digital storefronts overnight. This has deeply fractured the creative community. Independent developers are terrified of being falsely accused of using AI. Because AI has flooded the internet with a specific, hyper-refined, smooth art style, consumers have become incredibly cynical. Genuine human artists who happen to use vibrant colors or unique lighting are finding their comment sections flooded with accusations of posting AI slop. Creators are now forced to record their entire digital drawing process, saving layer time lapses just to prove their humanity to a suspicious audience. The technology hasn't just threatened their jobs, it has poisoned the well of cultural trust. The panic isn't just internal. Developers are trapped between corporate executives forcing them to use AI tools and a player base that has developed a fierce, zero-tolerance hatred for it. We saw this tension boil over globally when video game voice actors and motion capture performers went on strike under SAG-AFTRA, demanding strict protections against companies replicating their voices and movements using AI without consent. Players rallied behind them. When developers try to sneak AI voice acting or generative text into their games, the player backlash is immediate, loud, and financially devastating. Why do gamers care so much? Because a video game is ultimately a dialogue between the creator and the player. Think about what makes your favorite game unforgettable. It's the intentionality. It's a level designer placing a specific light to guide your eye. A narrative writer choosing a precise word to break your heart. A voice actor cracking their voice to convey profound grief. AI cannot understand emotion because it has never lived. It cannot understand nuance because it operates purely on averages. When you replace intentional human choices with randomized algorithmic outputs, you strip the game of its authorial intent. You are left with a sterile, mathematically average simulation that lacks a soul. Players can feel that emptiness, and they are rejecting it. The panic we are seeing among game developers isn't a sign of them refusing to adapt to the future. It is a rational, defensive reaction to a corporate culture that treats art like a manufacturing line and creators like data points. AI and machine learning will always have a practical place in game development, whether it's optimizing internal file compression, rendering stable frame rates via upscaling, or automating back-end error logging. But the dream of automating the creative heart of this medium, it is meeting a wall of human resistance. Video games are the ultimate collaborative art form. They are born out of sweat, passion, late nights, and human imagination. You cannot automate empathy. You cannot algorithmically generate a masterpiece. As players and consumers, our role in this fight is simple. We must vote with our wallets. Support the studios that value their human staff. Stand up for the artists and actors fighting for their rights. And remember that the best virtual worlds aren't built by pressing a magic button. They are built by human beings trying to share something beautiful with the world. Thanks for watching. We're tracking the evolution of the Silicon Horizon every week. What are your thoughts on the use of AI in game development? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to support human-driven content, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and share this video with a friend. Until next time, protect the craft and stay human.